just watched a very interesting video about the bystander effect. The idea is the more people there are with you, the more we'll look for social cues before taking action. It's a lot easier when you're on your own to say, hey, what's going on? If there are other people though, it's a lot easier to say, well, if they're not doing anything, maybe I don't need to do anything. I mean, they're not doing anything. So, you might experience this yourself at work when maybe you see something that just isn't quite right with the way one of the other members of the team are behaving towards someone, or maybe you see someone who clearly isn't comfortable in a certain situation, and you kind of feel like if it were up to you, you might say something, but given that no one else is saying anything, maybe you're just overreacting. More to the point, it could be happening to you where you feel uncomfortable, and I've certainly seen this with some, really close colleagues I've worked with before who definitely were in situations they were uncomfortable with. These can be trivial things like being parts of meetings that you just think are a little bit worthless, but if no one else is saying anything, then maybe I shouldn't, I'll just go with the flow, to being a bit more serious where you feel that people are being slightly unnecessarily aggressive towards you, or dominating conversations which are supposed to be for the team, and not really giving everyone a fair crack at the whip to get their views across. Whatever the case is, when we're in these kinds of situations with other people with us, it's very easy to just write it off and say, well, if no one else is saying anything, maybe I don't need to say anything. And I would really urge you to think twice before you resign yourself to that way of thinking. If you speak up, you may well find that other people are very grateful that you did, because they were thinking exactly the same thing. You just took the first move. And that's really what leadership is about. Leadership is about leading. It's about taking the first step. When you see something that can be better, that can be improved, it's about making that improvement, about taking the first step to pioneer that and to work with the team in order to get those kinds of improvements in place. It's also about recognizing disruptive or counterproductive behaviors and being the first to call it out. To be someone who says, this kind of thing is just not helping the group, it's not helping with our objectives, it's not helping us, deliver the kinds of things we've set out to achieve. And, let's try to think about positive steps we can take to curve that type of approach to things and do things in a slightly more improved way. It's clear from your own perspective to see what happens when you don't do anything. You'll end up with exactly the same thing you've got right now. If you don't introduce change, no change will occur. You will live with this and work with this for as long as you put up with it, and these things will continue for as long as the group puts up with it. And I'm guessing if no one said anything by now, then there's a fair chance that no one else is going to say anything. You're the person who has to say something if you want to see change. And like I said, other people probably want to see that change too, but just haven't seen a video like this, or perhaps don't know so much about the bystander effect, which I'd urge you to look into. If you want to see change, if you want to see something improve, you have to be willing to take the first step of improvement. Leadership often involves taking personal risks in order to achieve the greater good. That can be as simple as having to put yourself on the line and speak up when no one else is speaking, which I understand can be very daunting, especially if you're not familiar with that kind of thing. And it's something I can help with, by the way. If you're interested, we can talk, get in touch. But it's something that if you don't do, you will suffer the consequences of. It might well be that no one else appreciates it and you were the only person who didn't like it. But it's also worth mentioning that you are valuable too. The fact that you don't like that kind of behavior, or the fact that you think that behavior or that the things that are going on could be improved, is valuable in its own right, because you just don't know. You might be, forward thinking, cutting edge, and actually when you introduce this improvement that you're visualizing, you might find that there are really good results and that the rest of the team eventually see the advantages of that and really are grateful for the fact that it was tried out, but you won't know unless you try. So value yourself as well, even if it doesn't seem that there are other people that would appreciate it. The fact that you would is an argument in its own right. So anyway, I would urge you to look into the bystander effect. I found it fascinating personally, very, very interesting. And I hope this video helps. I'm Nathan. Take care. Bye.